Hi everyone, welcome back again to the Active Knowledge Series Transition, Orienteering the Lands of Succession. This is the fourth of the four introductory chapters, just to give you a sense of what transition is, what it involves, and the journey you are going to potentially go on. Today we're going to some negative territory. We're going to talk about the dangers. There are 12 dangers. These are things you want to avoid. They arise in almost every succession process at different levels. But the principles, the 9 principles which we've spoken about, can help you mitigate and avoid them, but you really just want to have your eyes open to them. And we're going to work through our maps, and we're going to work through each one of the lands, and we're going to look at where these dangers reside. And excuse me, but I'm going to read basically about each one of the dangers, just to give you some breadth and understanding of each one. There are many dangers. And you'll see the language which I use and have been using is one of journey through the lands, the traveler, orienteering, and we're talking about now the dangers which you need to orienteer your way around so you don't fall into them. You need to keep a close eye out for them. You need to expect them to be there, and you need to see how you mitigate them, how you remove them. Suppress is probably not a good word, how you avoid them. You want to be proactive in doing this. Anyway, let's get into these dangers and begin to talk about them, and then we'll move ourselves straight forward. So if we just start by looking at the maps again, the land, or the map I should say. So if you look, for example, at family, you'll see there's darkness, there's Glacier. If you come down to legacy, you'll see there's a volcano. So throughout each one of the lands, there are dangers. We're going to look at each one of these and just gain an understanding of what each one represents, and that'll help you understand how to avoid it. 12 dangers. Let me just read through them, and then we'll begin to get into the lands and just see what each one means. 12 dangers. You'll see the list coming up. 1. Lost a forest. 2. Darkness is a path to nowhere. 3. Glacier. Icy relationships. 4. Bottomless Pit. 5. Volcano. Fiery relationships and conflict. 6. Lost ship. 7. Empty treasure chest. 8. Greed and envy, a monster. 9. Quicksand. 10. Barren lake. 11. Merry-go-round. 12. The last one. Falling off the cliff. 12 dangers you need to be aware of and avoid. So if we start, the first one. Lost a forest. The traveller has not sought advice from an experienced guide and has lost their way. So if we look at our little map, we'll see sitting in the land of goals, there is a forest and you are lost in the middle of that forest. Not a good place to be. Keeping in mind the goals is the first land you're going into, you've gone in there and you're stuck. Succession can be a treacherous journey, even for those who have treaded the path before, and many a family have faltered and failed in their succession attempt by travelling alone. The calm voice of an independent succession advisor can be invaluable, as they bring a reasoned and objective voice to the table. Every business is different, every family is different, every individual in that family is different. But the journey of succession is a common trail, and the strategies, barriers, and dynamics for succession can be applied to assist you in your journey. It is a path which is being tread by many families before. Their experiences are captured and are being delivered to you so you don't make the same mistakes. An experienced independent succession advisor can use this knowledge and guide you through your journey. Their map of succession will allow you to orienteer your way to the successful outcome you seek. It's difficult to step outside the process. It is difficult to see the forest for the trees. So if you're in the middle of the process, where are you and where do you go to next? If you have the right advisor with you, they'll guide you. They'll take you out of the forest and they'll find your path forward. Danger 1, a lost forest, trying to do it by yourself. And just to close this one out, I'll just go back again to that global research which was done. And again, I mentioned, I think before in one of the other presentations, one of the key things which came back from that group was it is invaluable to have that independent succession advisor. We thought we were capable. We believed we can do it. We are experienced, successful business persons. Sure. Having an independent succession advisor made our life so much easier and the journey so much easier, and we wished we had done it at the beginning. Seek advice early. Don't get lost. Danger 1. Danger 2, we're now stepping into the land of family. Darkness is a path to nowhere. The traveller has failed to act quickly enough and has been left behind while everyone else has begun the journey to the summit, or their journey to the summit. The music is playing, musical chairs, the music stops, everyone's got a chair. You have not, because you have not yet commenced your succession process. So looking at the map, you can see as you step into the land of family, as you step out from the starting point, becomes almost one of the first dangers you can hit. There is a real danger in simply being left behind as your peers move forward with their succession plans and you simply do not act. Succession is not optional. At some point, you will need to release your management and ownership of your business. As in all things, it is better that you actively plan for and manage the timing to maximize your return, no matter what succession option you may be thinking of selecting. Inaction may arise through a sense of invincibility. I will always be here. I will die at my desk. Or inertia. I don't know where to start. I don't know how to start. It all seems too hard. Surprising, the most prevalent trigger, again from our research, is your accountant, your tax advisor, someone like that, banging on your door and saying, by the way, you need to think about your succession process, and encouraging you to do that. So listen to those taps on the door. Succession is a competitive playing field. It may seem strange, but it is. Why? Well, think of it. You're going through a succession process. What could you be competing for? There is that CEO who you thought could step into your business and could take over from you to allow you to step back a bit. They've now taken another offer. They're no longer available. Some of your children who are actually really interested in following in your footsteps and growing the business, you never opened the door for them and they have gone off and again done something else and an opportunity has been lost. The best option for you to sell your business, well, they've just purchased another business and that's no longer a possibility. The market's moved against you and the profits are not what they used to be and the value has dropped. It's a competitive playing field. As you're thinking about succession, there's resources you're going to want to bring to the table to make your succession process successful, and they're not going to be there always. For those in the baby boomers generation, 1946, 1964, this sort of 25 to 30, 2025, 2030 period, most of them are going to be hitting their 70s, if not already there now. They're going to be transitioning if they have not already done it. You do not want to be left behind. Succession is an area where first mover advantage is real, possibly permanent. 2, darkness, a path to nowhere. Don't be left behind when everyone has moved forward. Danger 3, Glacier, icy relationships. Family members are not communicating with each other and are not participating in the succession journey. So we're sitting in the land of family and you can see the glacier sitting there right in the middle. Whether you intend to transition the business over to the next generation or simply just sell it outright to a third party. If you have family, you will need to engage and connect with them if you want your wealth to compound across the future generations. Siblings at times grow apart and do not have good relationships with each other. And this can be made worse when spouses and partners are introduced into that mix. For an effective succession transition process to be conducted, excellent communications need to exist, and it will be your principal role to support this outcome. Often, it's your independent succession advisor who is the catalyst for improved communications and builds relationships in the family, but you need to be the supporter of that. The whole succession process can in fact become the journey and the glue that reestablishes relationships in the family and strengthening and continuing connections. Number 4, the bottomless pit. The separation between family and business is weak, governance structures have not been established, and there is a danger of the business and the family falling into the bottomless pit. So if we go back into the map and have a look, we will see the bottomless pit actually sits at the intersection of family, business, wealth, goals, and legacy. You do not want to fall into the bottomless pit. Most successful businesses had their start in the form of a family business and progressively grew through sweat, sacrifice, and work of that family to a much larger family business. The business is part of the family and the family is part of the business. However, there comes a time in all family businesses that a separation must be created between, let's call it family business and the business of the business. Not to do so will at some point restrict growth opportunities and capital value of the business and can be a significant weight which drags the business down. As the business grows and non-family members begin to join in the management of the business, it is important that family matters no longer be intertwined in the discussions of the ongoing direction, performance, and management of the business. Also, as the family gathers each week, as is often the norm in many cultures and many families, it's important that the matters of the business do not dominate the evening meals, and that relationships between family members are able to be built and strengthened during those times. There's a discipline to be brought to the separation between the business of family and the business of business for both to grow strongly. Otherwise, the performance of the business and the unity and harmony of the family are likely to be at risk and certainly compromised. If the family would like to discuss business matters considered best in the context of shareholders' meetings, then it should be conducted as a formalized meeting, even in informal settings, the home, with an agenda, a chair of the meeting, a set time limit and minutes, and a proper process. Often the succession process is the catalyst for the formation of the right governance structure, and the opportunity of succession should be taken to strengthen the governance structure of business and family. Bottomless pit, keep away from it. 5. Volcano, fiery relationships and conflict. Family harmony has not been achieved and conflict has erupted within the family. So now you can see we've slid over into the land of legacy. The volcano is there because it's one of these things which can just destroy your legacy. Yes, it's conflict in the family, but it's in the land of legacy because it can destroy your legacy. A key goal of any succession process must be family harmony. Without harmony, there can be little chance for compounding wealth across generations, as conflict between family members will destroy family wealth. To build and sustain harmony over generations is not an easy task. There must exist an opportunity for contribution and individual growth for each family member, and a real sense of fairness must exist. Excellent communication is the foundation of harmony, but there must also exist a very clear process to succession, so that all involved understand not only the process, but also the decisions being made and the basis of those decisions. Conflict often arises from a lack of knowledge, a second guessing of what's being done, rumors. Remove this doubt and speculation, and you are well on the way to building harmony. Your succession map, your transition map goes a long way to setting clarity. A cold, hard look at family relationships and dynamics is also necessary in seeking to identify what and where sensitive issues may exist. Once identified, proactive steps may be taken to address these so they do not become a burning issue that erupts at some future date. Family harmony must be created and sustained even in the happiest of families during the succession process. It is unlikely to occur by itself. In the land of legacy, fiery relationships and conflict must be settled if a legacy is to endure, and often these conflicts are themed around who is in control, who's getting what, and are quenched through a robust and equitable governance structure and clarity in the succession process and clear connections and communications with everyone. Volcanoes, keep clear of them. Danger 6, the lost ship. The future leadership team has not been developed and is unable to steer the ship. So if we now look into the land of legacy and we slide across to the sea, you'll see the lost ship. It is grounded on the side of legacy. Businesses that are built upon the capability of one person have a limited life. If you're sitting there today thinking that there's no one who can run the business the way I do, then your business will die with you and its capital value is heavily restricted, if not non-existent. Also, you are not investing in the leaders of the future at an adequate level. The capital value of a business lies in certainty. And it is the certainty of its ability to produce an enduring income that underpins this value. The key catalyst of this certainty is ultimately leadership. And if you not develop new leaders early enough, then your value will be limited. You must always have an eye to leaders in your business at all levels and parts, and you must always be focused on developing leadership skills and traits wherever possible. If you do not see this capability in your organization, then you need to create the space and time now and develop it. Future leaders take time to gain experience and to mature. This can only occur if you provide them with the opportunities for experience and mentor them on this journey. This process takes possibly years and is certainly not months. Also, no one is going to lead the business the way you did, and you should not be seeking to breed or to find clones. So if you do not see anyone who can lead the business exactly the way you did, then this is probably a good thing. What made the business successful for the last 40 years is unlikely to be what will make it successful for the next 40 years. You need to grow leaders who can take the business into the future, not seek to repeat what worked yesterday. How do you know what type of leaders you need? Well, a good starting point is to look to the strategic business plan for your business. This should articulate its future course and thereby provide guidance to the challenges that future leaders will need to face and help you make that decision. 6, lost ship. You must build the future leadership of your business to allow it to continue and to underpin that future capital value. 7, empty treasure chest. The traveler has failed to plan and prepare early enough and has not built sufficient financial resources to support the growing family and business. So stepping back into the map, you can see we're now in the land of wealth, and there's the empty chest. The most common barrier to effective succession is the lack of financial resources for the exiting generation, the continuing business, and the new generation. Sometimes one of these, regretfully, sometimes all of these. Growing family requires growing financial resources. If your succession plan involves the transition of the business along family lines, then you will need to grow the financial capacity of the business to meet the needs of not only your family, but also your children's families. If you have 3 adult children who are all involved in business, then potentially the business needs to be able to feed 4 families. And if you want to step back and take some capital out, then the business must either have the surplus capital or be able to raise it, or you will potentially be loading the business up with debt, which is not a good thing. Succession planning requires a long view to the future family needs so as to allow adequate planning and the resourcing up of the business. Otherwise, it may not be able to meet those growing needs and the family will be left with an empty chest, and your succession, your transition options are severely limited and may not be what you wanted. 7, empty chest, empty treasure chest. Stepping forward, number 8, greed and envy, a monster. Family members are envious of the positions others have achieved and the personal interests, greed, are overrunning the family. So if we have a look at the land of wealth, we can see that little greedy figure sitting up there in the top right-hand corner. Greed and its sister envy are poisonous to any succession process and will work against the compounding of wealth across and even within generations. Their source can be varied, but they must be actively guarded against and not allowed to gain a foothold. They will first emerge as icy relationships and then quickly move to fiery relationships with the ferocity of a wind-driven bushfire, destroying all in its path, with little chance of restoration in the short or medium term. It is not unusual for events that have caused a family breakup to be carried through generations. Pride and self-interest are often seen as the cause of these agents of destruction, but the catalysts are the failure to communicate and a failure to retain an eye to the future. The enablers of succession are sown early within a family through the values and the principles that are established and which form the cornerstone of the family and the business. To ignore this truth may well sow a seed that will undo the future succession process and the unity of families across generations. Opportunities for individual growth, creating a sense of contribution, humility as a trait in family leaders, combined with great communications, will allow a real sense of fairness and equity to be built within families and across generational lines. Your independent succession advisor working across families can often begin to heal any wounds that exist and avoid new wounds arising. Danger 8, greed and envy, a monster. You want to make sure it never has a chance to emerge, grow, or take a foothold. Moving on. Number 9, quicksand. Existing management is unable to surrender past practices and cannot embrace new ways. Looking at our map, we can see quicksand is sitting right in the middle of the land of business. Change is constant, and the needs of your customers are continuously evolving, driven by globalization, the internet, digitalization, artificial intelligence, and I'm sure many other things. What made your business successful for the last 40 years is almost certainly not what will make it successful for the next 40 years. Examples? Well, businesses which have been built in countries through periods of industrialization, the growth of middle class, or simply relationships in these developing economies, well, they're likely going to have to be built on new foundations for the future because they are part of the history, they are not part of the future. And the new generation of managers and owners are going to have to find another way to grow the business. Success can at times be the barrier that stifles change. What do I mean? This sort of language. Why try something new when what we're already doing works so well? It's my history which you're challenging. Can often be the paradigm which will strangle the business as it seeks to transition across generations. The new team is seen as inexperienced, they're untested, they have academic education that didn't exist 50 years ago, they have a whole range of ideas and a language which just seems a bit strange. And you add to that a set of values which can often challenge the sensibility of an older generation, and you have the barriers that will slow down dramatically if not close out the succession process. What did I just say? The incumbent generation, the new generation, typically will not think the same. That should not be a barrier to succession. It has to be managed. Change is hard, and when combined with the succession process can even be harder, especially for the incumbent team to surrender the past practices which have worked so well for them and to embrace new ways from an over-eager new generation possibly which have not been tested or proven. But a path must be found for a comfortable transition across to the new team who are equipped to respect the past and adopt their learnings and experience while seeking new paths and practices which will support the successful growth of the business for the next generation in possibly a totally new marketplace as the environment which they're trading in. 9, quicksand. Must avoid it. 10, the Barren Lake. The future of the business is uncertain. So if we go back into the map, you see the Barren Lake is actually sitting in legacy and is connected into the business. It is even an expression possibly of the lost ship, an extension of that. In a changing competitive landscape, business leaders must always have an eye to the future and continuously seek to position and equip their business for enduring success. As businesses mature, they can readily reach a point of comfort that can quickly translate into decline. Think of that life cycle. My business is now strong, it's successful, it's matured. Suddenly the market begins to change. I can't change. The business declines and the market goes off in a new direction. Succession is all about ensuring that the business prospers well beyond the current leadership team. This requires an eye to the future and making sure the DNA of the business is one that is constantly seeking to evolve, reinvent, step out from its current competitive position, one that never becomes comfortable or over-comfortable. Capability is important, but the culture or DNA is even more important. The ability of a business to be successful in the future is dependent upon its ability to craft that future, to see the possibilities that no one else can, and to step forward and to create those market opportunities and the new customers which go with it. If business keeps looking back and relying on the past to provide the future, then its days are surely numbered. A bright future lies not only in exciting and enticing list of opportunities which can be pursued, but also the capability to deliver on them and the capability to see them and create them. Barren Lake, the future of the business is uncertain. In your succession process, you want to ensure the future of the business is very clear and very certain. Danger 11, the merry-go-round. Indecision rules the camp and the succession journey has faltered. If we look at our map, we can see the merry-go-round is sitting up in the land of decision. You have completed your journey through all the 5 lands and you have now entered the 6th land, the land of decision, where you need to bring it all together to formalize your decisions and to make it all happen. But as you pause, catch your breath, and you look back and you realize that maybe you rushed through some of the lands and you are not necessarily as diligent as you should have been. Maybe everyone has not come with you, and maybe you've lost some support on the way, and maybe there's a bit of disharmony brewing. Perhaps there's been some matters that were just too hard, too controversial, and you sort of just parked them and passed them by. Maybe you thought just jumping ahead would be a good idea. But what now? Indecision can only be resolved by revisiting those areas of doubt, drilling down deeper into them so that decisions can be reached. The land of decision is one of consolidating all of your hard work. It's one of pause before the final ascent. You should not proceed up that ascent if uncertainty still exists or if you're not fully prepared. Revisit and close out any areas that require further attention and then re-enter and continue in the land of decision. Merry-go-round. The last of the dangers, 12, falling off the cliff. At the final ascent, that is the execution of the succession plan, focus and endurance is not sufficient to deliver on the final plan. So we look at the map and we see we're right at the pinnacle, almost at the summit, and we've slipped and we're coming back down again. All of your succession plans are completed and everyone as best they can are on board and are ready to proceed. All the necessary advice from lawyers, taxation advisors, bankers, all of that has been gathered. It is now necessary to make it all happen, to bring it all about, and this possibly is one of the most difficult parts of the succession process. You're at the very edge of finishing. It's now real. It's not just talk. You actually need to move forward and allow others to take over decision-making and the other rights and relationships in relation to your business. Do not underestimate the difficulty that this may cause. Many succession processes have fallen apart as sufficient effort and resources were not deployed at this stage. It will require focus and a real diligence in ensuring not only that all the paperwork is complete and put in order, but also that relationships are sustained and built, that decisions are enacted, and that everyone steps into and up to their new role. Often the ability to release is the most difficult, and that through habit, reluctance, failure to properly define the future, that existing generation, that generation who should be stepping forward and stepping out and allowing others come in, simply just keep doing what they've always done. And that new generation of leaders are effectively just blocked. A very clear plan with each step mapped is important, as is also a clearly articulated future for that exiting generation that is enticing. It's been created during the succession process. They support it and it's one of the first actions to be executed. Very simply, expressing it in this way, don't expect me to leave if I have nowhere to go. This has been my life. So part of the succession process is that future for the generation who are now stepping away from the business. Falling off the cliff, it's one of the reasons why sometimes it just doesn't happen. So there's 12 dangers up on the screen again. Lost the forest, a darkness, a path to nowhere, icy relationships, bottomless pits, volcanoes, lost ships, empty treasure chests, greed, quicksand, a barren lake, going around in circles, and just falling off the cliff. These dangers occur in all succession processes. They're there in various forms. Be on the lookout for these dangers. They are real and they do emerge in most succession processes. The guiding principles will help you to mitigate them, and your independent succession advisor will be there guiding you past them so they do not cause you trouble. Again, I thank you. This is the fourth of this introductory series, the last of them. I thank you for your participation. I hope your time with me has been a benefit to you. Again, you'll see coming up on the subsequent slides an email address. If you want to shoot me a note and ask me a question, please do. I'll come back to you as best I can, and also some resources which will help you. The next series, we're going to be digging into the individual lands and beginning to unpack the work which is going to be done in each land. I hope you'll join me for those as they begin to come forward. But again, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for your participation, and all the best in the future. Thank you.
Hi everyone, it's Sally here. I work with Richard. You will see coming up on these next 3 slides a URL link to purchase Richard's transition guide, which is a 200-page full-color guide in either spiral-bound printed format or a digital PDF format, or both if you wish. A URL link to the page that contains Richard's blog, a library of over 500 articles on family business succession, business strategy, leadership, growth and competitiveness, which you can access freely. And finally, there is an email address for any questions you may have. These are great resources, and I commend them to you.